This happened so long ago that some details are fuzzy, but I'll tell it as best I can. I was in the 4th grade, and it was the last day of school. At that age, 4th graders still had to be picked up by their parents. 5th grade meant you were finally allowed to walk home alone. My mom always picked me up on the last day. It was our little tradition. I had a play date planned with my best friend Dennis to celebrate the start of summer. Dennis wasn't in my class that year, so we were dismissed from different hallways. I waited outside with my teacher, Miss Blue, near the parking lot. Parents came and went, collecting their kids. That's when a man waved at me from the crowd. "Tommy, Tommy." I turned and saw a man I didn't recognize, but he seemed friendly. He introduced himself as Dennis's uncle and said he was picking me up because Dennis's dad was stuck at work. I didn't question it much. He knew my name and Dennis's name. That was enough for 9-year-old me. I went to Miss Blue and told her I was being picked up. She asked, "Where is he, sweetie?" And I pointed to the man. He waved at her, and that seemed to satisfy her. She dismissed me, and I followed the man. He walked fast. I had to jog to keep up with my backpack bouncing on my shoulders. He talked quickly, nervously, telling stories about school and asking me questions about sports and classes. His car was a dark red hatchback, and as soon as I climbed into the back seat, something felt wrong. "Where's Dennis?" I asked. He looked at me through the rearview mirror and said Dennis was already at his house. That made no sense. Why wouldn't we pick him up together? But I was a quiet kid. I didn't push. The drive felt long, too long. My house was only a few minutes from school. This trip lasted 10. We pulled up in front of a normal-looking house, but the curtains were all drawn tight. Inside it was dim, with only a single lamp lighting the living room. He smiled and told me Dennis was downstairs playing video games and said he'd go get him. He disappeared into another room, and I heard stairs creak as he went down. That's when panic set in. I went to the door and tried it. Locked. Not just locked, some kind of key lock I couldn't undo. I searched for a phone. In the kitchen, hanging on the wall, I found one. I dialed 911. "I've been kidnapped," I whispered. "Please come to this house." They acknowledged me. I hid the phone under a towel in the corner of the counter and went back to the living room just as I heard the man coming back up the stairs. He called out, "Come down, Dennis is down here." When I didn't respond, he came up and found me. He smiled again, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Are you okay? Can I go home?" I asked, trembling. The fake smile dropped from his face. He stepped closer and grabbed my wrist. "Just come downstairs. Don't make this harder." I screamed. He snapped, "Stop that. I'll let you go if you behave." I stopped screaming. He led me to the basement, opened the door, pushed me down, and slammed it shut behind me. It locked with a heavy clunk. The basement was unfinished. Concrete floor, wooden beams, a single exposed bulb casting a sickly yellow light. There was a support beam in the center of the room. No furniture, nothing but cold emptiness. I sat there, knees tucked to my chest, listening to the creaking floorboards above me as he moved around. Then he called down, "You hungry?" "No," I said quickly. I didn't want him to go near the kitchen and find the phone. He shut the door again. More creaking, more silence. I waited. Then, a doorbell. Once, twice, 3 times, followed by heavy knocking. "Police." I wanted to scream, but I didn't until I heard the front door open and shouting voices filled the house. I banged on the basement door and screamed until it opened. A police officer grabbed me, lifted me out, and took me outside. There were flashing lights, squad cars, people talking all at once. I saw the man being led out in cuffs. That was the last time I saw him. The story that came out afterward was horrifying. He wasn't Dennis's uncle. He was a former work associate of Dennis's dad, someone who had overheard their plans and somehow learned enough about me to trick a teacher. A predator who seized a 1 in a million opportunity. Miss Blue was devastated. My parents were furious. I spent months in therapy. I don't remember asking for any more details. I didn't want to know how close I came to never being found. The only reason I'm here to tell this story is because I had the presence of mind to find a phone and call for help. That decision saved my life. I think about it sometimes. How different things might have been. That house, that basement, that man. And I wonder if he's still out there. I really, really hope he isn't. It was my sophomore year of college when I decided to move off campus. Dorm life had been fine, but I wanted more space, more privacy, and most importantly, a break from constantly sharing a bathroom with 8 other people. I found an off-campus apartment about a 15-minute walk from school and ended up subletting a room from a senior named Jordan. Jordan was a pretty quiet guy. He was rarely ever home when I came back from class, and when he was, he mostly stayed in his room with the door closed. At first, I thought it was great. We both did our own thing, and I figured he was just introverted. But things got weird fast. It started with small stuff. I'd wake up in the morning and notice the kitchen window open, even though it was freezing outside and I'd closed it the night before. Once or twice, I'd find one of the living room lights turned on in the middle of the night. Still, I brushed it off. Maybe Jordan was just up late or liked fresh air. Then came the scratching. The first time I heard it, I was up late studying. It was past midnight and the apartment was dead quiet, except for this slow, rhythmic scratching sound coming from the wall that separated my bedroom from Jordan's. It wasn't loud, just persistent, like fingernails dragging lightly against drywall. It went on for maybe 15 minutes, then stopped. The next morning, I casually brought it up over breakfast. "Hey, did you hear that weird noise last night? Sounded like something was scratching the wall." Jordan looked at me blankly for a moment, then shook his head. "Nope. Probably mice or something. Old building." I let it go, even though we lived on the 3rd floor, and I'd never seen a single mouse. But the scratching didn't stop. It happened again the next night, and the next, always around the same time, always from the same wall. I knocked on Jordan's door once while it was happening, but he didn't answer. The noise stopped right after. It was like whoever or whatever was making the sound didn't want to be caught. Then things got worse. I came home from class one afternoon to find the apartment door slightly open. I stood there for a second, heart pounding, unsure if I should go in. I called out Jordan's name. No answer. Cautiously, I stepped inside. The living room was empty. The kitchen looked untouched. I walked to my room and froze. My bed was moved, not like completely across the room or anything, but just shifted. The pillows were on the floor, and one of my dresser drawers was halfway open. I knew for a fact I hadn't left it that way. I backed out of my room, grabbed a knife from the kitchen, and knocked on Jordan's door. No response. But the door wasn't locked. I turned the knob and slowly pushed it open. Jordan's room was a disaster. Papers were pinned to the walls with strings connecting them. Drawings, maps, and on his desk facing the door was a laptop playing a grainy black and white video on loop. It was me, sleeping. I felt sick. The video was time-stamped for 2 nights ago, and the angle was clearly from inside my room. I turned to leave, and that's when I heard the click. Jordan was standing at the entrance of the apartment. He had come in silently and was now blocking the exit. We stood there for a second, neither of us speaking. He looked calm, too calm. "I was going to tell you," he said softly, "but I figured it would scare you." "What is this?" I snapped, pointing toward his room. "You've been filming me?" He nodded, like it was the most normal thing in the world. "I don't sleep. I haven't in years. I spend most of the night just watching. It helps me feel less alone." I edged toward the window. It wasn't high up. If I jumped, I could probably land in the bushes below and run. "I'm calling the cops," I said. Jordan smiled. "You already did, twice." That sentence didn't make any sense. I didn't understand what he meant until I saw the second phone sitting on the counter. My old phone. The one I lost during winter break and had never found. He had it. He had access to my contacts, my messages, everything. I didn't wait another second. I sprinted for the window, shoved it open, and jumped. I scraped my knee badly on the landing, but kept running, straight to the corner gas station where I begged the cashier to let me use the phone. I called 911 and told them everything. When the police showed up, Jordan was gone. They searched the apartment, found the cameras he had installed in my room, and the others he was clearly planning to set up. They found notebooks filled with details about my daily routine. Where I went, who I talked to, what time I usually showered. It was like he had been building a case study about me. Jordan was never found. His name turned out to be fake. The lease documents were forged. He didn't even go to the college. No one knew who he really was. I moved back on campus the next day. For weeks, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined him standing in the corner, just watching. Always watching. Sometimes, I still wake up in the middle of the night, feeling like I'm being watched. And every time I do, I check every corner of the room, just in case Jordan's still out there. Watching.